Welcome back to the Green Means Go channel. It's your host, me, and if I sound out of breath, it's because I am. I just recorded about an hour's worth of content, and the goal for today was to walk through live arbitrage betting with Oddsview. So they reached out and said, hey, if you can walk through a demo of live arbing, that would be very helpful for us, very helpful for our community, and I agreed. It would be helpful for the community of people that watch my videos too. And I recorded an hour of it, and there were multiple times where I found myself getting very frustrated, and I was trying to do something that in my heart did not feel like it was correct. So we're going to restart the video. I'm not going to place any bets. That was part of my problem. I was trying to explain things to you while I was clicking on bets, and then lines were moving, and I was just getting incredibly frustrated. I felt like I was wasting my own time. My accounts are limited anyway, so actually getting the most out of arbitrage is never going to be possible for me anymore. So we're going to restart. My goal in this video is to show you how to use Oddsview to live bet. We're not going to call it arbitrage. We're not going to call it plus EV. We're just going to call it how to get the most out of Oddsview live. So let's head on over to Oddsview and take a look. Here we are on Oddsview. Again, this is my preferred arbitrage and plus EV betting software, especially live. There are other sites out there that exist, and this one is the one that I believe is the most well-rounded and suitable for the average bettor. If we go up here, we see two options. And again, I covered this in a previous video. We have plus EV and we have arbitrage, and we have live and pre-match. So today's video is going to focus on live because we've already kind of covered pre-match. Now, live is a different beast. It's a different animal. And I'm going to be very honest with you guys. At the end of the day, I have to be honest with my community because that is my goal at Green Means Go. They wanted an arbitrage video, a live arbitrage video. And that makes total sense because that is a common question that we have both received, them as a company and me as an individual in this. And I'm going to be very quick in my explanation. Live arbing basketball is nearly impossible. Live arbing sports that move quickly, points are being scored every 30 to 40 seconds, make it nearly impossible to arbitrage. Football, I have had luck arbitraging. Baseball, I have had luck arbitraging. Think about how points are scored in either of those two games compared to basketball. Much less, much more infrequent. So the ability to lock in arbs, the window of time is larger. Arbitrage betting on basketball is not something that I would even recommend. I was trying to do it, and in an hour, I got 3 arbs done. I was incredibly frustrated. I said, how am I going to post a video where I spent an hour trying to lock in 3 arbs on a limited account? I made like 75 cents. Very frustrating. But I would say, and what I did do in that video was I flipped over here to plus EV. Now, I am someone who is risk averse. I am someone who likes guaranteed money. I am someone who traditionally in my career of sports betting has preferred arbitrage over plus EV. But I am now at a point where my limits are so low and books do not let me get the action down that I would like, that arbitraging does not make sense anymore. Most of my wagers on live basketball lines are at the $10 mark, which means that by the time I hit an arb, I'm making cents, maybe $1 or $2. It is more mathematically profitable for me in the long run to stop paying so much juice on a limited bet and just take the plus EV. So what I would suggest when you're trying to live arb basketball is to not do it, is to come over here to plus EV. And we can show you, we can walk through. So if we click here, you can see that, okay, see how fast that even moved? It was gone in a flash. Look at Providence total. We have FanDuel at under 69.5 at 128, Pinnacle at minus 110. So we see that Hard Rock, Fanatics, and BetMGM at these 3 plus numbers would have all been a good side. Look at Syracuse and Virginia, under 77.5, and that's gone. Okay, do you see how fast that moves even for plus EV bets? These are going to move quickly. So my advice to anyone is if you have not had a ton of time arbitraging pre-match when the lines are stagnant, I would not dip your toes, even get your toes moist in arbitrage live. Plus EV live, there's a little less risk because if you lock in one side, you're good because you're hopefully locking in the plus EV side. Okay, so here we have Syracuse and Virginia Tech. We see that no other books have lines up. Okay, here's one. DraftKings under, and it's gone. Okay, do you see how fast this moves? Do you see how quickly these are going? And I don't want this to scare anybody away. Like, this is not an Oddsview problem. I want to make that very clear. This is just where we are right now. Books are fast. And this kind of thing happens. If you go pay triple the amount for this service at another odds provider that's very popular, you're going to have the same issue, especially for the sport of basketball, because of how quickly these things move. So if we go Syracuse minus 7.5, Hard Rock at plus 140 is a good bet. Let's click on it. Let's just see. Let's go over here and see if that line is still available. See, I've already forgotten what the line is. Syracuse minus 7.5 at plus 140. We'll go here, Syracuse minus 7.5 plus 140. Okay, so this, right, my max is $10. I know it is on Hard Rock, so we'll go ahead and try to lock that in. Okay, just to give you an example, and live bets also take a little bit of time to place. It is still trying to process this bet, which again, not only, okay, there we go, boom. I made the $10 wager to win $24. All right, so now I'm sitting there waiting, and now I would have to go to another book and make sure I got that in all before the line changes. So I would just say that arbitrage live is something that you should maybe explore on baseball or football first before trying to explore basketball. Now that sucks for me in this video. It sucks for Oddsview, who wants me to make this video, but it's the truth. And I would hate that you guys pay for a service that you expect to make you money, which it should, and then you get frustrated and lose money trying to arbitrage live basketball. And now you've paid for a service, you've lost money, and now you're never going to use this again because you're defeated. And that is not good for me as a content creator. That's not good for Oddsview as a company. So my suggestion is, until you get really, really good at what this all entails, there is nothing I can teach you about live arbing basketball. I have 2 monitors up, right? I have a phone that's been logged into sportsbooks. They have a one-click feature where you click and it opens the book. Now, Fanatics does not have a desktop site, so that makes things a little more challenging. I had Fanatics up on my phone, which is what I was using there. So, they have put in every metric possible to advance your experience, to make sure you can squeeze the most juice out of this. Here's the bottom line is, before you do anything live, I would make sure you are incredibly comfortable pre-match. We'll start there, but as far as arbitrage goes, because you need to understand the concepts of what you are doing before you jump into live. If you don't understand the game, you can't play the game, right? Think of pre-match as practice. Anybody can scrimmage in practice because the consequences, right? The stakes are not as high. Nobody really wins or loses at practice, right? So get in here and figure this out where you have time. Okay, so let's look at his points, right? This is pre-match. It looks like BetMGM is the side that's most off at over 9.5 because it's an arb to multiple books. Oh, okay, I see how that works. If I wanted to play the EV side, I would take this. If I wanted to arb it, I would take this. And let's say I could get 500 down on Fanatics, 655 on DraftKings. I'd make $45 on this wager. That's awesome, right? Start to understand how that works. And again, if we want, we could probably come over here and we can find it on the Plus EV feed. It's the same thing, right? It's the same bet because this bet is so good in terms of value compared to the comps. And you need to understand these things before you move on. Now, if we flip it over to live, now you're having to do that same sort of mental approach in seconds. My advice, final advice, is if you are going to do any live betting, I would focus on Plus EV betting. Because while you are still risking, it is almost safer to me in the long run to be sure you're locking in a side with value rather than trying to manage locking in 2 sides when lines are moving. But if you are going to do arbitrage, which I have had success live arbing in the past, I would focus on sports that are able to be arbed, such as baseball, football, various dead periods or breaks. So if you are interested in trying out Oddsview, they do have a free trial where you can get your toes wet. You can play around with this stuff. You can start to understand what it is all about. And then they have paid plans which offer you more features as you move up. If you use code GMG, you get 35% off of your first month. I'm happy to answer any questions, but I did feel like it was only best for me to come on here and be honest with you guys about this so that you can make the best choices for your bankroll moving forward.